There's nothing worse than writing an entire book and having your file crash on you. I have done a lot of editing and writing in which the file is growing and growing and growing, word-wise, hyperlink-wise, image-wise. It gets out of control and then you lose your work. And it is so frustrating because it takes so much of your time, your emotional energy, your schedule, your hand strength. Sometimes it's painful to write for that long and then everything's just gone, just like that. In today's world of things being more on the cloud, that is why that tends to happen. Hi, my name is Proofreader Sandi. I'm a writer, editor, and proofreader. I am currently offering coaching sessions, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that after the video. So, in order to avoid formatting issues with your manuscript when you're writing a book, you first got to be conscious of how many words you're writing. A lot of people start with Google Drive. It's right there in your email and you can share it with peers to get quick feedback. So it's really good for collaboration, but it's not the best for manuscripts above 30,000 words, maybe even 40,000. The file gets really big, and if you have a lot of changes, if you're not familiar with it, Google Drive has a mode where you go into suggesting mode, which is basically the same as track changes in Microsoft Word, where when you have someone edit it, they are able to write their suggestion and it shows up in red, but you're able to either accept or deny that change. It's a tool that you use so that, someone's not just straight up altering your file. And so the large file in combination with the amount of comments, the amount of changes, and then if you add images on top of that, it gets super tricky. And that tends to happen when the file has been converted from another software into Google Drive, like Scrivener, where you design the book and you make it look all pretty. I would suggest for a new author just starting out, yes, enjoy the convenience of Google Drive, but make it a raw state of your manuscript and maybe even the shortest version before you start adding things. And then you could download that to Microsoft Word, which is a way better place to work from. That being said, that brings me to the challenges of Microsoft Word, the limitations. It's very trippy being an editor and proofreader because I run into these little tiny problems that I don't know how to query online, and also I don't know if anyone's even come across them, and it's just very specific little glitches that occur, and it's only from using the software for a long time that you get to know it. So when it creeps up on you out of nowhere, it's not good. The benefits of having Microsoft Word 365, which is where you have access to basically all of their programs, I think, and they're on a cloud. So you get to auto-save while you're writing or editing. And that's really convenient because if something happens, it just saves your work. Growing up, I'm used to Microsoft Word being like using a USB and stuff like that. It's just like on your computer, it's a file. There are less formatting issues that way. I would suggest if you're doing lots of images and you're doing a really long book and you're doing like diagrams and like links and like all of these things, I would suggest doing Microsoft Word, keeping it offline, keep saving it, Control S every time you remember. The thing is, the industry standard, your editors are going to want you to give them files in Microsoft Word. Editors are very opinionated about Google Drive because we've all been through those issues where you are taking a Google Drive file and you're downloading it as Microsoft Word, and it is so annoying. It creates these little bullets at I think it's after every page break, because every chapter I notice has this little bullet that you can't remove. My clients are on their way to having their book being formatted when it's being edited or proofread by me. So it's basically something that the formatter is just gonna have to deal with, which is fine, but you wanna have as clean of a file as possible just so that you don't have a headache for you later. Bonus tip. if you're having a lot of images and diagrams in your book, either you've created them or you're hiring someone to create these illustrations and diagrams for you, you ideally want to have a separate file for those. Have little placeholders in your manuscript, like image 2.1, image 3, whatever it is to name it. Have a file that has those labels with the images there. Or before you've even gotten them done by you or someone else, just be sure to have that file very organized so you know exactly what goes where. And then what's going to happen is once you send the book to the formatter, they're going to just insert it because they have the power to do things like that, like take chunks and move them around because they are concerned with the aesthetics of the book. And they're at that point, the book is in a PDF format, or at least it's prepping to be there. I'm not exactly sure about the details of formatting because that's not my area of expertise. And if you don't know what formatting is or what I'm talking about, I'm going to have another video for you. Basically, just avoid the headache. Just try to keep it as Microsoft Word as possible. If you're going on the cloud of Microsoft Word, you can sometimes run into similar issues, especially in the browser version. So just to be safe, Microsoft Word it. But if you must, Microsoft 365 is a good file. I just have had very frustrating things. If you're working really fast, Microsoft 365 will glitch out. And if there's a lot of images, and the book wasn't even that long, it just had huge images in it. So in retrospect, I should have told the client that they needed to take out the pictures and put them in another file and do the whole thing with the placeholders. But I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal because the words themselves weren't that much. So now I know. And I'm always trying to make things easier for my clients, so I don't typically tend to ask them to do things like that, but I should because it's really worth it because later I lost all of my work for like 30 pages and I had to do it again. And it was excruciating because it just kept freezing. So yeah, that's pretty much a little intro to formatting issues. There are other software that authors create books on that are more aesthetic and things like that. So you just have to basically, when you're doing that, just consult with an editor that you want to use and make sure that they are familiar with that software and see if you can get it into a Microsoft Word file so that the editor can work in it easily. And then the only issue is if you're only using that software, when you're revising the things that the editor is giving you or the proofreader is giving back to you, then you don't have Microsoft Word to look at it again. So be sure to get Microsoft Word. If you're an author, you need to have Microsoft Word. I'm sorry, you have to have that and you have to learn how to use it because it's gonna make your life so much easier. And if you're an author, you're committed to this and it's a small investment. Microsoft 365 is it's like $30 a year. And it can function as a regular Microsoft Word that's just stationary on your computer if you just take off autosave in the little bar at the top. So it really is worth it just to save you so much effort. Google Drive is great for just quick files and things like that. I personally use them to communicate with my authors about when we're discussing their target audience and we're brainstorming ideas for their book's title and subtitle and just things that I want to keep consistent when I'm proofreading and I want to consult with them. So it's really good for collaboration. Like when I'm editing, I have a file named after the client that says book notes. And it's things that I've deleted out of the manuscript and I just put it there. I park it there for a little bit because maybe I can rework it and put it somewhere else. Or maybe the author wants to keep that, but we need to put it somewhere else because I just don't believe that it worked there. I like it, but it needs to be somewhere else. So that's one of those things that happens a lot in developmental editing. And if you don't know what developmental editing is, I have a video about it and it's up here. All right, well, I hope this helped. I promised that I would tell you more about my coaching sessions. So I am now available for coaching. Your first coaching session is free. So just email me at the email in the description and set up an appointment with me for 1 hour. And I'll show you how you can make your writing shine and really connect with your target audience. I'll show you how to edit your work and save time, even just how to overcome roadblocks to your writing. If you're at the beginning stages of your book, that is who I specialize working with. Whether you're fiction or nonfiction, I want to know what you're writing about. Happy writing, and I'll see you next week.